You know, we've all seen it happen. Some brilliant strategic plan gets created, it's full of these powerful, game-changing ideas, and then it just sits on a shelf gathering dust. The real challenge, it turns out, isn't just creating the strategy, it's actually bringing it to life. So today, we're going to break down that final, absolutely crucial step, how you turn a great strategy into real, meaningful action. All right, so here's the journey we're taking today, broken down into 5 key stages. First, we'll talk about bridging that huge gap between the plan and what happens in reality. Then, we'll dive into how you turn learning into truly actionable insights. From there, we'll build out a blueprint for success, look at the critical role leadership plays in all this, and finally, we'll pull it all together to construct a roadmap that's actually built for the future. So let's kick things off with the most common point of failure, that massive, tricky gap that exists between theory and action. This is kind of the Bermuda Triangle where so many great ideas just disappear. I bet you have. It's so frustrating, isn't it? You pour all this energy, all this brain power into a plan, you've got this incredible vision for the future, but it just stalls out. There's no momentum, nobody knows what the first step is, and all that initial excitement just sort of fizzles. And this, right here, is the core truth we have to get our heads around. A strategy isn't just the document it's written on, it's the change it's supposed to create. Without a clear, practical path forward, even the most innovative plan is nothing more than a thought experiment. So our goal here is to lay the bricks for that path, one step at a time. So where do we even begin? Well, the very first step is to take all that research, all that learning and discussion, and forge it into something that actually creates momentum. We've got to find the actionable insights. Okay, so let's break this down, because the key word on this slide is directly. An insight isn't just a random fact, like, hey, our market share is down 5%. An actionable insight sounds more like this. Our market share is down 5%, specifically with Gen Z, because our messaging isn't hitting them on their favorite platforms. Therefore, we need to reallocate our budget to a new social media campaign. See the difference? One is just information. The other points you directly to a decision. And this is why it's so fundamental. A list of observations is passive, but a set of really solid, actionable insights, that creates a clear why behind the what. It transforms your strategy from some document you have to read into a mission your team can actually get excited about and rally behind. All right, so with those powerful insights as our foundation, we can start building the actual blueprint for success. This is where the strategy stops being theoretical and gets incredibly practical and focused. This is where the rubber meets the road. And what's great is that this blueprint really boils down to 2 brilliantly simple steps. First, you figure out the few things that absolutely, positively must go right. Those are your critical success factors. Then, with that sharp focus, you define the immediate next actions. This whole process just cuts right through the noise and creates some much-needed clarity. Let's really dig into what these critical success factors are. These are not, I repeat, not your 50-item to-do list. We're talking about the 3 to 5 things that, if you don't absolutely nail them, the whole strategy falls apart, period. So for, say, a new e-commerce site, that might be rock-solid secure payment processing and flawless next-day shipping. Identifying these forces you to be ruthless with your focus and make sure everyone is pulling in the exact same essential direction. Now, having a perfect blueprint is fantastic, but here's the thing, it can't execute itself, and that's why we have to shift our focus from the plan itself to the person or the people who are going to drive it forward, right through all the inevitable chaos of the real world. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? A plan is really just a snapshot in time, but the world, that's a moving target. So you don't just need a manager to go around checking boxes. You need a leader who can navigate, inspire, and adapt when the environment, inevitably changes. And this is where leadership gets really personal. It stops being about reciting the plan and starts being about asking these tough questions. How will you steer the ship when a storm hits? Your ability to answer these questions honestly is every bit as critical as the strategy document you're holding. So all of this hard work, the insights, the blueprint, the leadership, it all brings us to our final output. And what we've created isn't just a plan, it's a living, breathing roadmap that's actually designed for the real world. You see, a truly winning roadmap has this essential dual nature. It has to be 2 things at once. On one hand, it's got to be incredibly practical, giving your team clear, immediate steps they can take today. But on the other hand, it has to be adaptable, built with the understanding that the future is uncertain and that you'll need the resilience to pivot when things change. Oh, I absolutely love this metaphor. Think about it. A paper map becomes useless the second a road closes down. But a GPS, it sees the roadblock, recalculates in real time, and finds you a new path to your destination. That's exactly what a modern strategic roadmap has to do. So let's quickly recap the journey we've taken together. We started by figuring out how to bridge that gap from a static plan to reality. We learned how to forge raw data into powerful, actionable insights. We then used those insights to build a super focused blueprint. We recognized the need for adaptive leadership to drive it forward, and we ended up with a roadmap that's both practical for today and resilient enough for whatever comes tomorrow. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question for you to think about as you move forward. When you look at your own strategies, what are you holding? Is it just a static paper map? Or have you built a dynamic GPS, one that's ready for whatever the road ahead might bring?